Everybody, all right, everybody, stay tuned for the Real Talk Sports Show Saturday update coming up in just a few moments. Morning, man. I got the scratchy frog going on this morning. Excuse me. But good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Saturday update. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for those of you who have decided to join us on various platforms, especially those of you who are listening live on ZL on the legendary WIGO 1570 Pace Setter AM. Remember, you also can find them broadcasting live online at WIGO1570.com. Appreciate you. Before I go any further, I want to say, please subscribe to us on YouTube. That's right. We are Real Talk Sports on YouTube. Really, the best way to do it is you can see over to the left for those of you who are watching. The best way to follow us anywhere on social media. I've now changed this all the same: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch. We're just simply Real Talk Sports, the number 7. Real Talk Sports 7 now is our moniker and handle on all social media platforms, including YouTube. Because believe it or not, there's somebody else that has the audacity to call themselves Real Talk Sports on YouTube. So I wanted to make sure that if you put in Real Talk Sports 7. Matter of fact, that's the best way to access us on YouTube. YouTube.com/, Real Talk Sports 7. And voila, you will find us broadcasting to you right there and right now. Well, we're not going to keep you too long today. As you can see behind me, I'm in the offices of our title sponsor for high school football, Allen Vigil Ford in Lincoln. I'm at work today. I do have to have a full-time job like most of you watching here. As you can see, they're also on the screen. For those of you who are watching, they are, again, our title sponsor for high school football game of the week. And we're appreciative to them for doing that. We appreciate Mr. Vigil for being such a big sports fan, because he is. He's actually a premier booster for the University of Florida. And so I know he's very intrigued to what young Mr. Anthony Richardson is going to do this year for the Colts. That's one of the things that's making some news in the NFL. Anthony Richardson was named starter for the Indianapolis Colts. Some people are not sure about that. I think he's just turning 20 years old. Like I said, Mr. Vigil is a big Florida fan, and we get a chance to talk to other Florida fans that said, hey, look, although he started off like gangbusters, to begin last year, he kind of faded away. This is a guy that many people thought was going to be a Heisman Trophy award candidate in college football, but things kind of just went, I won't say to the left, but certainly did not perform the way we were expecting him to do at Florida, and Florida did not as well. But his talents are, what they like to say, otherworldly. This is a guy that can sling it. This is a guy that can run like a deer, as they like to say. He is a modern day Cameron Newton. And y'all know who Cam Newton is. 6'5" Cam Newton was, playing 250 pounds, playing quarterback in college and the NFL. Big arm, and really before the NFL let him get beat up, just saying, he was one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. He was on CTV for probably about his first 5 or 6 years, like I say again, before he was not protected anymore by the NFL. But Anthony Richardson, kind of that same stock, a guy that is big, about the same height, 6'5". He's probably more like 230, 240. Rocket arm, can throw the ball about 70, 80 yards in the air. Colts are going to put him right into the fire right off the rip. So we'll see what happens. He was got a little testy in the scrimmage the other day. They were doing a scrimmage. I can't think of the team they were doing a joint scrimmage with, but anyway, his teammates felt he took a cheap shot. So there's a little scuffling there. But Anthony Richardson, now the new quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Another thing that's breaking news here, a guy that many people thought was going to come here a couple of years ago when he was up for grabs. Trey Lance, no longer 49ers. The 49ers, after trading all kinds of assets to move up ahead of the Falcons, I will say, because no disrespect to Kyle Pitts, but the Falcons were on the clock to get Trey Lance to be the next quarterback of the future. Of course, we all know that didn't happen. He went to San Francisco. Injuries, lingering injuries, and an inability to kind of crack the lineup. I'm not sure whether playbook issues, but I think mostly injuries, not being able to get himself up to speed, has now been traded to the Dallas Cowboys. Got that breaking news this morning. Trey Lance is now headed to the Cowboys. I'm going to confirm that again, but that is the word on the street that young Mr. Trey Lance is heading to the Dallas Cowboys. And there it is right here. News about Trey Lance. And this would say Niners trade Lance to the Dallas Cowboys. And let's see what the Cowboys gave up to get that. But apparently quite a bit. So let's going to take a peek here and see what he's traded for. But that's the news out in the streets. The 49ers traded Trey Lance. And let's put my glasses on. And he is going to the Dallas Cowboys. And he's going to the Cowboys for several picks. I think it's a 4th-round pick. And it's really kind of crazy, man. Here's a guy that the 49ers gave up, you know, a ton of assets for in 2021. They thought they was going to be the quarterback of the future, but he just has not been able to, um, just fulfill what he could do. Let's take a look at some of the injuries he had. He said that, he had a broken right ankle that he suffered in week 2. A lot of people thought that he was going to be able to come back. But Brock Purdy, a guy that basically was drafted, I think he was the last player drafted in the draft of 2021, the guy balled out. And so the 49ers are thinking, why would we kind of hold on to this guy and keep, going forward? The other thing, too, is evidently Trey Lance himself was pushed for a trade as Sam Darnold was pushed ahead of him into the number two slot. He said, hey, man, get me out of here. And so he is gone now to the Cowboys for a 4th-round pick. Now, what does that mean now for Dak Prescott? They say Dak Prescott now I think is going to be on the hot seat. Trey Lance has got a big arm. He runs as well as Dak, if not better. So I think it's going to be a situation where Dak Prescott's days may be numbered here in Dallas. What do you guys think? Trey Lance, you think he'll be able to unseat and surpass Dak Prescott? And let's face it. Cowboy fans, have had a lot of angst about Mr. Um, Dak Prescott for a while. This guy at one point flashed some brilliance. There was a 2 or 3 year run when him and Zeke Elliott were must see TV. And I think really the turning point was similar to the turning point that our Falcons had, was that in that 2016-17 season, Dallas was a beast. Ezekiel was killing everybody, led the league in rushing, I think led the league in carries. Dak was super efficient, and they were the number 1 seed overall going to the playoffs that year. And shockingly, let the Packers, an injured Packer team, and Aaron Rodgers upset them. And of course, we know the rest of history. The Packers then rolled into Atlanta and got steamrolled by the Falcons, and the Falcons went on to almost win Super Bowl 51. And really, Dallas, I don't think has really been the same. They've been back to the playoffs, but it's been a litany of miscues and mishaps. And so I think that the Dallas is sending a signal to Dak Prescott. If he can't get it together, then it's going to be a wrap. They're going to move on. to Mr. Trey Lance. So that's the breaking news out of the NFL. And while we're in the NFL, let's go ahead and talk about our Atlanta Falcons. Dun, 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 dun. That's a little Falcons talk right here. So let's mixed bag as far as feelings about the Falcons. And we'll talk about Jonesboro High School a bit later. I know it's flashed up on the screen, but so the Falcons ended up the preseason about, I guess, the way you would expect with the Falcons, 1-1-1. They got us all excited. They went to Miami. Defense balled out, 5 sacks, uh, 3 interceptions, a pick six, and the offense looked serviceable with your backup quarterbacks. You're thinking, man, we got it rolling here. Then they roll into Cincinnati, and we see our projected starting quarterback, Desmond Ritter, launched them on a nifty 19-play drive. He was 7 of 9 in his time on the field, but a deflected ball that could have probably been caught by the wide receiver instead turned into an interception, wasting a 19-play drive. End up getting no points. So at the end of the day, and they got a tie with the Cincinnati Bengals, 13 all. So you're thinking to yourself, well, I guess really not too bad. When we saw the first team offense, they looked pretty good. They looked very efficient. Bijan Robinson showed flashes of why many people think that he's going to be an otherworldly type player here with the Falcons and be one of the NFL's best. He was very efficient coming out of the backfield. We saw a couple of jukes that made him famous in Texas, the yaks, the yard after catch. So everybody's thinking, hey, we guess we've seen enough from the starters. Well, the final week is a week that we're all told that backup players are all in about trying to get themselves in a situation where they will be picked up by another team. That's what we're told, right? We say, yep, they're going to ball out, they're going to play well, they're going to give it all they can. And I got to tell you, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know they were playing in the first team of Pittsburgh. I understand that, but man, I mean, yeah, Kenny Pickett sliced him up like a Ginsu knife. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, I looked up, and the Falcons were suddenly down 17-0 in the first quarter. Now, a lot of people are telling me, "Hey, Rev, it's preseason. Don't trip out. Blase, blase." I get it, and I get some of that here. I adjust my camera there, folks. I get that, but at the end of the day, I was expecting, I guess, a little more from the backups, thinking that these guys are playing literally for their NFL lives. I mean, you got to cut a 90-man roster down to 53. You got other teams that are watching you play. So I was expecting to see more energy. And I get it. Like I say again, you got twos and threes playing against the Pittsburgh ones, and Pittsburgh's not a bad team. But still, man, I mean, it didn't look too good. So what do I take away from all this? What I take away is that nothing. I don't know what to think. I didn't see anything enough for me to make any kind of decisions. Did Ritter look good? He did. We had some people comment on social media, hit me up via text, say, "Hey man, the guy just threw a bunch of check downs. He had men open deep." Here's what I'm explaining to people: the Falcons. You're going to have to understand this, folks. Let me take my glasses off. The Falcons. It's going to be unlikely that they bring in a quarterback with a skill set and excitement level of an Anthony Richardson type, or maybe a Trey Lance, or maybe a Malik Willis, whatever one of guy you want to put in there in that name, because the Falcons, since the Michael Vick incident, and then later on, if you remember, they had the incident with the guy out of Alabama that they brought in that kept getting popped for PEDs and substances. Falcons are like, hey man, we don't really want any situations here. We don't want that. Even the great John Abraham, who hopefully will join us on our program. John was struggling a little bit in his final couple years with Falcons with some things off the field. I mean, nothing big. I mean, just hey man, the guy like to knock him back a little bit. He'll tell you. But the Falcons, they don't want any kind of controversy at all. They don't want any players that have any so-called baggage. So they're gonna get rid of you, or they won't. They won't even grab you. So what does that mean at the quarterback position? What that means simply is that the team are going to get guys what I like to call a corporate type player at the quarterback position. It's one of the reasons a lot of guys got mad about Matt Ryan, his decision in Super Bowl 51. Why didn't he, call an audible and run the ball down the stretch? And I can't explain to people. You see, unless you are a Hall of Fame level quarterback, you're not going to do that. Matt Ryan was the MVP of the league that year by basically being a corporate quarterback. What I mean by corporate quarterback, a handful of audibles, but primarily calling the game as he received instructions from the sidelines. And that's kind of the way Desmond Ritter is set up. And what you get with guys like that are a couple of things. On the good side, you get guys that are consistent in their performance. You not too many highs and lows. They kind of are what they are. Two, they usually will not turn the ball over much, and that's a big, big, big thing uh, in any sport, but especially in the NFL. You don't want to give the other team multiple chances, nor do you want to blow your own chances. So he has a track record through college, and so far from what we've seen in the NFL, that he doesn't turn the ball over. Um, he knows how to move in the pocket enough to avoid a sack from time to time. He also shows that once he gets into a rhythm with certain receivers, like he has with Drake London, he can in fact get them the ball so they can make catches, or with some of the big tight ends. And I think that he's a good guy as far as being able to keep together long, sustained drives, which is what you're going to see a lot from the Falcons because they run the ball, right? Now, the negative side to that is that because they are really leaning towards not turning the ball over, they are risk aversive. So what does that mean? Basically, they're not going to try plays that could end up not going well. So you're not going to see necessarily a lot of deep throws out of him. You're not going to see a lot of the balls necessarily being thrown down the field unless the guy is wide open, which I get. I mean, there's something to that's too. What you are going to see is short, and I do think that where you're going to see an improvement in this Falcons offense is Ritter's ability, and I'm projecting this out, to make the medium range pass. Because the way the Falcons are set up is that Arthur Smith has set it up for him to be able to complete those 15 to 20-yard contested ball throws. That's why the Falcons have stacked themselves with big receivers. That's why they're running with multiple tight ends, because first of all, Arthur Smith likes that anyway. So you're going to see this team, excuse me, for this team to be successful, Desmond Ritter has got to be a good medium range throw of the ball. He's going to have to be accurate in that 15 to 20-yard throw. If he is, this Falcon team is going to be nasty. I'm going to record telling you right now. If he finds the ability to be able to make that medium range throw, 15 to 20 yards downfield, that contested ball, and then in the red zone, if he now takes that same skill set and is able to make that back shoulder throw, yeah, man, this team is going to be rough, because now you're going to couple that to a running attack, which I think is going to be every bit as good as it has been the last couple of years, which, oh, by the way, has been ranked in the top 5 in the league in rushing the last few years, averaging somewhere around 150 yards a throw. Excuse me, throw, Lord have mercy, but 150 yards a game. So if you can get now some even, I don't say mediocre, but average to above average quarterback play, because think about it, the Falcons were 7-10 and were in the top 4 in the league in rushing with a quarterback that was ranked about dead last in the league. So imagine now if you got a quarterback that's even ranked in the middle of the pack. And oh, by the way, I haven't even talked about the fact that the defense is bigger, faster, stronger. Kind of reminds me of the old TV show called $6 Million Man. And they say he's faster, stronger. Well, that's what you're going to see with the Falcons. They have guys like Cadus Ellis. They have the defensive back, Jesse Bates, out of Cincinnati. They have Calais Campbell, who is not going to be the Calais Campbell of 5 or 6 years ago, but still he is going to give the Falcons some valuable veteran expertise. He is going to make some plays from time to time, and he's going to be an anchor on that line. And of course, the guy in the middle, Grady Jarrett. Now with the Falcons giving him some help in the defense, he's not going to be able to be consistently double and even triple teamed like he was before, and he could have a breakout season. I'm not going to say he's going to be the next Aaron Donald, but he could have a season similar to that. Um, let's go to social media. My man, Sullivan is back in the building, and he says, "Oh yeah, guess who's back? Appreciate you, brother. Welcome back." And he says, "We have a lot better. We're a lot better than we were. I would say 5 years ago, and plus we're only getting better. This is only the beginning. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Those of you who are Falcons fans who've been suffering a lot of angst, I'm going to tell you that the Falcons are must see TV. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, maybe talk a little bit more Falcons, and we're going to talk about a high school football update. Man, high school football is in full throttle. We saw a great game yesterday. If you want to find out more about that, you have to keep it locked right here for more. But first, a word from our sponsors. Stay tuned. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net. Hey, sports fans, tune in for live. Hey, sports fans, tune in for live high school football Friday, 7:30 p.m. on RealTalkSports.net. Check out your favorite Metro Atlanta teams as they do battle on the gridiron. It's your high school game of the week, live streaming free Friday nights on RealTalkSports.net. For more sports coverage and great sports talk, catch the Real Talk Sports Show Tuesdays, 8 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. Brought to you by Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, a business giving back to their community. Give them a call at 678-364-3979 or check them out online at allenvigilford.net. As we're back here finishing up our Falcons recap, and of course, once we start talking the Falcons, we have a lady back in the studio that produces our show. She's back there at the studios of WIGO, and when she heard them Falcons, she said, "Oh no, I'm about to come on the air right now." I'm talking about Lady E is back in the building. Lady E, welcome back.
Thank you, Jonathan. How are you today?
I'm doing great. As soon as you heard me talk about them Falcons, you got all fired up. I already know.
Yes, and I was listening to you talk about what happened on that last game. I was sitting there too, like, what is going on? They played so well the first two games. And then this last one, it was like they didn't know how to play football. But anyway,
No
they
doubt.
I did see them get their groove back as far as stopping the other team from getting any more points, which I was looking for that strength in the defense. So that part was good.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, so in the second half, once the playing field was level and you didn't
Yeah.
have the first team of Pittsburgh playing against our second and third stringers, you got things done a lot better. Well, there's a good old friend there that likes to talk some sports. Miss Allison Gibson, thank you for joining us. She says, Clarence Campbell will be an anchor on the line and Grady will hopefully get more sacks. You're absolutely right. And our man, Sullivan is saying to us here, he says, every team has to suffer every now and then. And sometimes it takes a little time. It's what it is, but we got the cap space right, which is true,
Mhm.
and we
Mhm.
can really bring in a lot more people. So, yeah, just a lot of good stuff going on. He says, yeah, take a look at that secondary. Yeah, definitely looks a lot better. Yeah, ladies, I know you got to be excited of what we're seeing here with the Falcons. Just a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to be there live like I will be on this next game that they're going to be here on. I will be screaming. Yeah.
Listen, my daughter's already in getting ready to make her way to at least one game, and she's like, "Dad, I don't care if I got to spend a little money. I'm not sitting in the nosebleeds." She goes, "I'm getting a good ticket up front." I said, "Well, them good tickets are money, but it's all good. I mean, I don't blame her. You don't get a chance to go every now and then, so she wants to do that."
Hey,
And
there's nothing better live than being there live. It's just the energy, the excitement of it. It's what's happening.
And what I tell people is this: I'm not trying to be a big shill or homer for the Falcons, but I will tell people that any sporting event, whether it be the Falcons, the Braves, the Hawks, even our gals right down here in Camp Creek near me, the Dream, like you mentioned, there's something different about being there in person.
Hmm.
There's an energy of having 5, 20, 50, 70,000 people in the
Yes.
stadium. Now, all of them are not fans of your team, but it's just that
Right.
energy that many people bring to the table. It definitely is very, very exciting.
And
All right,
I
let's
love talking the junk too next to a person that doesn't favor the Falcons. I love talking junk.
Well, I mean, listen, I tell people, I mean, it's like this. If you keep these things in perspective, don't get in here and get crazy and start getting violent, but
Right.
just have some back and forth, like fun. That's what it should be. It should be fun. It should be an opportunity, a time to jokingly uh, you know, throw a little shade back and forth and to have a good time. So, again, if you can get out to the game, and please do so. Also, there's great tailgating before the game. Now, I will tell people, if you got to if you're smart, you want to go online. A lot of people don't know this. You can go online and buy a parking space in
Mm,
decent areas for like half the price that
absolutely.
you would to park somewhere similar if you mess around and wait till you get the game time.
Right.
So,
Yeah, do it now.
do
As
it
a
now, because it's like this. You're going to pay about $20 to park. And, if you're doing, ride sharing, you're good if you got carpooling. But man, if you mess around, wait, and try to park in an area similar to that near the stadium game time, you're going to be minimum $40, and you can be as high as $100
yeah,
depending on who they're playing. So I'm warning you folks: go on a Ticketmaster when you get your ticket, or go on and put in parking, game time parking in Google, and there's several parking areas where you can go. And like I say again, if you want to get a couple of them, you and your buddies just bring the one car down, bring your grill, tailgate, and have a good old time.
absolutely.
All right, man. Sullivan said, I would say don't even worry about the last game, because the first two games in the preseason what really counts. And he's saying here his kids range from 7 to 31, and my granddaughter's 6, and they love it. I take them to the game every now and then. You already know. Yeah, it really is a great time, and I will tell you, it's a great time, like I said, with professional sports, but also if you can support college sports. You got Georgia State here. You got Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, so I think we're going to have a good team. Georgia State, a lot of people don't know, went to a bowl game last year and won a bowl game.
Yes, absolutely. And I was excited about that too.
So you got a lot of good stuff going on here. Matter of fact, speaking of college football, today you have the kickoff game for HBCU. Is their big kickoff game tonight? It'll be 7:30 right down. And speaking of Georgia State and Park Stadium where they play. So if you guys want to, it is a rematch from the 2021 Black College Football Championship, Jackson State against South Carolina State. So I'm sure everybody's going to be intrigued
Mm,
to find out what now is going to happen with Jackson State now Dion is gone.
mm,
And Buddy Field, I think it is, the legendary coach from South Carolina State, he is retiring. So a little intrigue
ooh.
about this game today. So we shall
All
see.
right.
Well, Sullivan, I'll let him have the last word there about college football. He says all about the UGA Bulldogs. Well, look, man. I mean, they're trying to do something that no college football in our era team has done, which is to have a three-peat, three consecutive national championships. Not even the great Nick Saban, with all that he's done. Not even his predecessor, or from in terms of greatness, Bear Bryant, Barry Switzer, when he had the great Oklahoma teams back in my era in the '80s. None of those teams were able to have a three-peat. Even the great the U, when
Mm,
they had Ray Lewis and all those guys, even they couldn't get a three-peat. So if
mm.
Georgia could get a three-peat, it would be epic for the Bulldogs to do that. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Well, look, we're gonna take one little tiny action. You know what? I'm gonna wrap it up at 10:30. And I'll Mr. Sponsors, we'll make sure to get your advertisements in towards the end. There we go. All right, we want to give a little high school football recap. It's been good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. We of course are the live stream broadcast over at. Now I gotta get the name right, Lady D. It's a long name. It's
Okay.
called Heinz Ward Field at historic Terra Stadium.
Okay.
That's the official name. It was named a
Good.
couple of years ago. Heinz Ward, for those people who don't know, I know you Steeler fans know, he was the guy who was the MVP in the Steelers' 2006 Super Bowl victory over Seattle. He was a 3 or 4 time All Pro there, and he is one of the most beloved Steelers of the recent era of all times.
Mm,
But he played high school right here at Forest Park. A lot of
wow.
people don't know that. He was Forest Park. He was an all-state player, went on to play for, speaking of the Bulldogs, University of Georgia. Actually played a lot of quarterback, and then was shifted over to wide receiver. And so he had been making donations to Forest Park and some of the other local Clayton County schools.
Mm,
So he was awarded a named stadium. How about that?
wow.
And when you go to it, actually has right on the end zone. Matter of fact, they just refurbished it. It's all in blue now in the end zone. It actually has Heinz Ward Field. So again, the official name is Heinz Ward Field at historic Tara Stadium. Say that 2 times fast. I'm just saying. Well, to give you an update on kind of what has been happening over there, we've seen some great games. First of all, we want to give you an update from what happened last night. One of our favorite teams in Clayton County had to go up the road to take on one of the best teams in the state of Georgia, legendary team up in the Northwest, Cartersville. Now, in previous years, they went up there and got shellacked. This, I will admit that, but this year you can tell the quality of the team has went up. They went down as much as 21 to nothing into the fourth quarter, but they did come back with 2 late scores and made it a respectable final score. Cartersville 24, Jonesboro Cardinals 13. That was last night as again they tried to, you know, get themselves up to the next level. Now, as far as we're concerned, Lady E, right down the road here in Tara Stadium, we had a really good game. Good game.
Okay.
Went back and forth. It was a battle of it was full co versus Clayco or APS versus CCPS. And for those people say, what's he talking about? Full co is short for Fulton County. Clayco is short for Clayton County. APS stands for Atlanta Public Schools, and CCPS stands for Clayton County Public Schools. Where every year they have a big kind of showdown, throwdown, as the schools from each area play one another. And last night our game was North Clayton against Kip and the Eagles of North Clayton, led by their quarterback, who had 2 touchdown runs of over 60 yards last night. They knocked down a very spirited and very tough Kip Warriors team out of Atlanta. Kip is kind of a magnet school. Final score: North Clayton 38 and Kip 18. So big shout out to them. Great game last night. I was hoping to get a little bit from the head coach, but we were running out of time. But again, guys, go to our YouTube page. You'll see that. You also go on our Instagram page, Real Talk Sports 7, and see that as well. All right, Lady E, before we let you go, what you got going on over there at the legendary WIGO?
Well, if the audience missed it last weekend, my show is called The History, the Song, the Artist. I've been telling the life story of the legendary Faith Evans, who has been associated with, of course, Bad Boy Records. And anybody that she's been associated with, I do a little feature on them during the show. So this weekend, I'm going to replay the feature I did on the billionaire Jay Z this weekend. He has an incredible story. He was a drug dealer. I bet you he did not know back then that today he would become a billionaire. He is major in the music industry right now and also concert industry. So tune in tomorrow at 5 p.m. right here on the legendary WIGO 1570 Pace Setter. I'm Erica Holloway, better known as Lady E, but Erica Holloway on Sundays. So lock it in right here.
Well, there you go, Lady E's in the building. And yes, we got a chance to see Mrs. Carter. For those who don't know who that is Beyonce was here and
Yes.
unveiled for the first time, I believe, to the public, Blue Ivy, who looked like
Yes.
her mama. Now I'm thinking to
Yeah.
myself, did I miss something here? I mean, I always remember looking at this little child, tugging on mommy and telling her, "Hey, don't fall asleep during the game." And all of a sudden, it looked like a yeah. I mean to say it, she looked kind of grown. I mean,
Yes.
I'm
Well,
thinking to myself, hey, what's going on
look,
here?
she's got that height from her dad, of
Yeah, I'm
course.
thinking,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, all that being said, the Carter family is a entertainment uh, steamroller, and it
Yeah.
looks like young Blue Ivy might be following in Mom and Daddy's footsteps. So yeah, it's very interesting, kind of watching this saga as really these two have dominated the entertainment business for over a decade now. Really
Absolutely.
almost 2 decades.
Yes.
So amazing what they've done, and it's just very, very interesting what they have been able to do. All right, guys, we're about to wrap it up here. Remember, on Friday nights, Real Talk Sports has a high school football game of the week, and that is led by our title sponsor, Allen Vigil Ford in Lincoln. And good news, These are not just like some guys. There is a real Alan Vigil. He is here with his family that runs the dealership. And yours truly, me, I'm here as a commercial sales rep, but don't let that stop you. Say, well, I don't have a business. It doesn't matter. I can handle any vehicles for yourself, for your family members. It does not matter. Or you can just hit me up, 678-364-3979, or simply call me on the cell, 678-410-9833. More than happy to assist you whenever you need. All right, everybody, we're going to wrap it up here. Remember, you know how we do this as we go. I got to put that ministerial hat on. If you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, your personal Savior, I'm going to say, please, sir, please, ma'am, get to know him today. Nobody, absolutely nobody loves you like Jesus. He came upon the earth, died for your sins, and rose from the dead. And because of that, two great things will happen to you if you repent of your sins and believe that. Number one, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And number two, you become an adoptive child of God with all the rights therein. That means you can now go to God like a heavenly parent, because he actually loves you more than your parents, truth be told, and ask him for anything that you need or desire, and according to his will, he'll give it to you, because he's not going to give you something that's going to hurt you or be bad. And of course, at the end of your life, when you leave, you get to go to that wonderful and spectacular place called heaven, where there's none of the following: no pain, no pandemic, no bad people anywhere. It's bright and sunny and glorious all the time, because literally the glory of God illuminates the whole kingdom. And you get a chance now to meet God, meet Jesus Christ, all the people of love face to face, and dwell in this spectacular city, which is so beautiful. Even the streets are paved with a gold that's translucent. And you avoid that nasty place called hell, where all those things I mentioned won't be there. So there'll be bad people everywhere. It's dark, it's dreary, it stinks, it's painful. But most of all, you're cut off from God, Jesus Christ, and all the people of love forever and a day. I don't know about you, but I like option number one instead of option number two. All right, everybody, until the next time we get back together again, God bless you and have a wonderful day or evening, whichever may apply. So long.